What is the scariest thing you've ever heard? For some people, it might be a horror story told by a campfire. For others, it might be a creepy noise in the middle of the night. But for me, nothing is more terrifying than the thought of my voice speaking without my permission. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that many of us have experienced, but few of us understand. A phenomenon known as voice whispering, where one continues to hear their own voice even after they stop speaking. It's a strange and unsettling experience that can leave us questioning our sanity and the nature of reality itself. So if you're ready to delve into the dark and unknown, then let's begin. The first time I heard my voice whispering, I was in a crowded party with friends. The room was filled with laughter and chatter as we shared stories and made new acquaintances. But as the night wore on, the energy of the room began to shift. I started to feel a growing sense of unease and disconnection from those around me. And that's when I first heard it, my voice speaking without me. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of my hearing or perhaps the echo of my own voice still ringing in my ears. But as the voice continued to speak, I realized that something was wrong. It was my voice, but it wasn't me. The voice was saying things that I didn't want to say, things that were dark and disturbing and not my own thoughts. And the scariest part was that I couldn't control it. I tried to stop it, to make it silent, but the voice just grew louder and more insistent. It felt like an intruder had somehow hijacked my voice box and was using it to speak their own sinister message. I remember staring at the faces of my friends, trying to convey what I was experiencing. But they just looked back at me with confusion and concern. I was trapped in my own personal hell, unable to communicate, unable to stop the voice. It was as if I was possessed by a demon and no one around me could see it. I wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but no sound came out. All I could do was watch and listen as my voice continued to speak, sending shivers down my spine and wrapping icy fingers around my heart. And then just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The silence was deafening, and I was left trembling and exhausted, feeling as though I had just run a marathon. No one said a word. They just stared at me, their faces etched with worry and confusion. I wanted to tell them what I had seen, what I had heard, but the words wouldn't come. I was still stuck inside my own personal hell, unable to communicate with those around me. As the weeks went by, the whispers became more frequent, more insistent. They followed me everywhere I went, whispering in my ear, telling me terrible things that I didn't want to hear. I became increasingly isolated, afraid to go anywhere or talk to anyone for fear of what my voice would say. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to find out what was happening to me. So I went to see a doctor. He ran tests and performed examinations, but everything came back normal. There was nothing physically wrong with me, he said, but I knew that something was wrong. I could feel it in the pit of my stomach, in the hollow spaces between my ribs. Something was wrong with me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. I was losing my mind. As the days turned into weeks and the whispers grew louder, I began to change. I became more withdrawn, more anxious. I couldn't sleep at night. And when I did sleep, I had nightmares. I would wake up screaming, my heart pounding in my chest, my whole body shaking with fear. I couldn't concentrate on my work. I couldn't focus on anything except the whispers. They were driving me insane. And then one day, it happened again. I was in a public place, this time a crowded subway car. The voices started off low, almost inaudible, but they quickly grew louder, more insistent. I tried to ignore them, to focus on the faces of the people around me, but I couldn't. They kept coming back to me, twisting and turning in my mind. I felt a sense of dread wash over me, and I knew that if I didn't do something, I would explode. I stood up abruptly, knocking over my coffee, and stumbled off the train. As I walked away, I could hear the whispers following me, taunting me, laughing at me. I didn't care. I just needed to get away from the noise. Looking back, I realize now that this was the turning point for me. I couldn't keep living like this, hiding in the shadows, afraid of my own voice. I needed to confront it, to understand it, to make it stop. So I started to research, to read everything I could find on the subject of voice whispering. And that's when I came across the idea that my voice was trying to tell me something, was trying to communicate with me, to warn me of danger, to protect me from harm. At first, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was just another crazy theory, another false hope. But I was desperate. I would try anything to make the whispers stop, so I started listening. I closed my eyes and focused on the voice, trying to hear what it was saying, and that's when I heard it. It wasn't a warning, it wasn't a threat, it was a message. It was my voice trying to tell me that I wasn't alone, that there was help out there, that I could make it through this. With newfound determination, I began to fight back against the whispers. I started talking out loud, speaking my thoughts, saying the words that were stuck in my throat. And as I did, I felt a sense of empowerment, a feeling that I was taking back control of my life. It was hard, really hard. Some days I felt like I was making progress, like the whispers were becoming fainter, more distant. And then other days, the whispers would come back with a vengeance, louder, more insistent than ever before. But I didn't give up. I kept talking, kept writing, kept reaching out for help. And slowly but surely I began to heal. The whispers are still there, I won't lie. They never really went away completely. But I learned to live with them, to accept them as part of me. And in doing so, I found a strength within myself that I never knew existed. Today, I'm here to tell you that if you're experiencing voice whispering, you're not alone. It's a difficult and scary journey, but with time and effort, you can overcome it. Reach out for help. Talk to someone. Write it down. Scream it into the void. Just don't give up. Because as cliche as it sounds, your voice matters. It's your voice. Just don't let it go. If you enjoyed this video, I highly recommend watching another one I created called My Shadow is Following Me, which explores another unsettling phenomenon. Your support means a lot to me, and I'd be grateful if you could show your support. If you're interested in diving deeper into the world of scary stories, I've got plenty more where that came from, so stay tuned for more content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.